Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be an exciting video. We are going to be ranking all the palettes that I used in 2022. I know it's a little bit quite late in the year and I do have a palette in here that I've only done a first impressions on. Two actually that I've only done a first impressions on, but I will be doing more looks in the future with them. But still, they've all been used this year of 2022, not 2023. So I'm excited to see what comes out on top. I have got, let me count one sec. I've got 15 palettes this year, so a little bit less than last year. Ooh, what happened there? I don't know, maybe I got a bit lazy. But we have got 15 palettes to try and rank. I have them ranked. I know what has come out on top. You may already have guessed what's come out on top. But, and I want you to pause the video now and let me know down in the comments below what you think came out on top, and then let me know if you were right at the end. So I am going to start from number 15 and work my way up. I'll hopefully pop the number up on the screen so I remember, well, you guys can see what number we're on, because I'll probably forget because you know me, what I'm actually like. So yeah, it's exciting. It's probably maybe not gone the way you might have imagined. Just before we get into the actual ranking, this look is filmed. It will be live on my channel soon. Don't know when, because January is always a mad month of I don't know what's happening kind of month. So it will be live soon, so go hit subscribe down below for that, and the pictures will be up on my Instagram as well, so you can go follow that down below. But yes, let's not ramble anymore and let's get into our ranking. So let's just preface this by saying I don't hate any of these palettes, even ones down lower. I may have said in my first impressions that I loved them, but others are just a little bit more and they kind of speak to me a little bit more. So we're just going to go through, and this is the way they've fallen in my little list of things. So coming in at number 15, you may already kind of know if you've watched all of my videos of the year, this is going to be the Juvia's Place The Festival palette, which the packaging is stunning, by the way, so beautiful. This is what the inside looks like. Super bright, super fun, gorgeous formula, I have to say. It's usual Juvia's Place formula, beautiful formula, nothing to do with that. It's the colour story and the way the textures are that kind of put me off. So my darkest shade in the palette is this black here, but it's metallic. So I don't use shimmers in my crease too much. Very rare, like 1 in a million kind of thing. And the other mattes aren't dark enough to darken things up enough for this kind of shimmer on the lid. If you took this out, or maybe made this matte or like a burgundy or something like that, perfect, beautiful. I just find it a very hard palette to work with. I have to definitely pull in some other products, whether it be shimmers, whether it be other mattes, and it's for me, it's easier for me to pull in other shimmers. I can always use mattes here and there, but to pull in other mattes, I always find then it just makes the palette kind of unusable. So I'll definitely be keeping it. I know I'm going to do a declutter at some point next year, but I will probably keep it because I really love the formula and I love the colours that are actually in it. It's just as a whole palette, I just find it very hard to use. Next up is one from the very beginning of last year. That was actually the second palette I used last year, but this is the very first palette I used last year. This is the Odin's Eye Alva palette, the original Alva. This is a neutral palette, but an interesting neutral palette. My kind of neutral palette, I have to say. Because there is some kind of like warmer tones, more mauvey tones. There's this gorgeous kind of sunset yellowy sort of side here. The shimmers are stunning. The different textures of the shimmers are different. Like some of them look the same, but the shimmer might actually be a little bit different in them. And I just like how they pair. The only reason it's down this low is that I don't gravitate towards it too much. I have other palettes in the collection here that I go towards, and I do have other neutral palettes. I've got one palette neutral that's way higher in this ranking, which you'll see soon. I just don't gravitate towards it. That's it. It's a gorgeous palette and I do use it. Again, it's none of these I don't think I'm going to declutter. I'm not going to declutter a huge amount of my palettes anyway, but this gorgeous, just something I don't gravitate towards. Just everything else beat it out a little bit. Next one might come as a shock to you because it came as a shock to me. This is number 13 and this is the Kaleidos Futurism 6 palette, the Lunar Lavender. Why is it down so low, you ask? I don't know. Again, everything else kind of beat it out. It's more to do with the fact that there's just kind of like, it's purple with 2 browns. And I think it's the 2 browns, maybe not this one, but definitely this one. Just kind of, I don't know, if I had maybe like a neutral shimmer maybe, or something, I don't know. I do love how dark it goes because of this, but I just feel like I don't think to use this palette all the time. The shimmers in it are stunning. The mattes blended, like maybe even make this one more vibrant than this one because they're kind of similar to each other. Like they're not really, but they are a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's a hard one to say why it's this low, but it is this low. It's just where it fell on the ranking, and that's just the way it is. I do love the formula. Again, a lot of these, the formula, apart from one, I'm not mad on the formula, which is actually a little bit higher, but I do love the color story, so it's kind of made it a bit higher. Yeah, I'm surprised as you are, trust me. Next up is going to be number 12. Am I on 12? Oh, look at me keeping up with the numbers. This is the Ace Beauté Flare palette. Now, I have been wanting to use this palette for so long. Baddie Bean used it and it was her favorite palette for years. The color story is just a dream. Look at this dream. But the formula is the old Ace Beauté formula, not the new one. I didn't know they were reformulating when I was getting it because I got it for Christmas. I wish they had reformulated just before I got it. So I had the new formula, because then I think I would have ranked this way higher in the top 5 probably. This color story is beautiful. The shimmers, stunning. Now the shimmers, I cannot fault them at all. It's the mattes, they're just not buildable the way I want them to be. They're not, maybe if I used a stickier base, and I do have a lot more stickier primers, I might give it another go during the year, do a little get ready with me with that and see how I feel about it again. I love the color story. I love it. It's just the formula, it's just the matte formula. I just feel like it doesn't build the way I want it to, but because the color story gets me, it's up a little bit higher. Then we're on to a palette. What are we on, number 11? Yes, 11. Look at me go. This is the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette, and this one is just a little, oh god, I hate this background because on camera I don't want to blind you guys. This palette is so kind of plain and fun all at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, it's fun because it's like this mix of like cool tone neutrals and like champagne shades with these blues, but it's not like a neutral palette with a pop of blue, or a blue palette with a pop of neutral. It's not like that. It's an equal mix of both. The shimmers in it are stunning. You've got these gorgeous like duochromes. Goes really, really dark if you wanted to. I made some really, really beautiful looks. I also did a blue smoky. I actually kind of like this with this palette, and I loved it. I love it. It kind of just got pushed constantly throughout this ranking when I was laying out all my palettes. I just kept moving it back one each time, so it's just fallen here. Almost made it into the top 10, but, and this color tree, oh, I love that kind of shade, that kind of grey brown sort of shade. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful palette. I definitely want to use it a little bit more. It was worth the hype, definitely lives up to the hype for me. It's just got pushed back a little bit, that's all. Okay, coming in at number 10, we're into the top 10, just made it in there. We've got the Odin's Eye Saga of Freya Chapter 2 Cat with the Golden Carriage, the Cat's Breath palette. Gorgeous, stunning, beautiful packaging. I love the packaging on this. It's so pretty, and the cute little kitty cat right there. This palette surprised me a lot because instantly this is not a color story I would go for. Kaleidos had one of their Futurism palettes, and it was like the neon turquoise or something along the lines of that, and it was like a tealy blue and orange, like bright orange, and I was just never interested in it. I don't know why, it just wasn't. This though, there's something that grabs me. I think maybe because the teals aren't really teal, they're more green than teal. The shimmers, oh my god, this is where like Odin's Eye really got their shimmers into a rhythm where they're good, and different textures as well. So like these two textures are very similar to each other. Actually these three are very similar to each other, and this is quite a thin sparkle. Oh my god, so beautiful. Nice mix and match, and very contrasting obviously with the teal and the orange, but there's like a dark for the orange and a dark for the teal, so you can do either or mix and match. That's what I like about it. I like my lightest shade to be my shimmer and my dark shade to be my matte in a palette, so to have both for both sides of the color spectrum, I really like that. And just the shimmers in this alone bumped them right up to into the top 10. In at number 9, we've got something that's a little bit more my vibe, and I really love this palette. Made it into my favorites as well. Some of these did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, basically like the top 5 top 6 made it into my favorites video, and this is one of them as well. This is my Melt Cosmetics She's in Parties palette. Look at that gorgeous shine on the packaging, beautiful. This is like your Victorian era smoky eye. I always think this is so Victorian looking. It's got the most beautiful range from light shimmers, which are like some of my favorite shimmers that Melt have ever done. This, I said this in my favorites, you would be shocked to see how dark this matte goes. So then when this one goes as dark as it does, it's unreal, like so impressive. And I just love it. The only thing I find is that the shade She's in Parties, the kind of more coppery burgundy, stands out a little bit too much. I would have liked maybe a matte that was a tiny bit warmer than these two. Just a little bit warmer. Even if it was this, but warmer, I think it would have just added a little bit more, but not like sacrifice this because I love this shade. Maybe add another matte onto the end of it. And then the darker shades will deepen up as you want to. I just feel like it's a great palette. Even though this is like a dark shimmer, this is still darker. So I'm happy with that. I love that. In at number 8 is a palette that I feel like I was the last person in the world to use this palette. This is the Colourpop and Hocus Pocus collection. The original. The other one, the second one, definitely not interested. The third one was better, but still not really interested. This is the one. This for me is Hocus Pocus. This gives me the vibes of Hocus Pocus. This is the Gather Round Sisters palette. And there they are. There's my 3 sisters, Mary, Winifred, and Sarah Sanderson. This palette here, it's got cute little cauldrons on the back. It's just everything nostalgic for me. I love Hocus Pocus. It's absolutely my thing, and I watch it once every single year. And this palette just represents it for me perfectly because it gives me this really dark, murky, spooky kind of vibe with these pops of colour that represent each sister, and I love that. The shade Wench is beautiful. I would maybe skip this colour and either make that a full shimmer, not a matte with sparkle. I hate those shades. Or I don't know, add something else. But there is this gorgeous like pressed glitter shadow. So it's not really pressed glitter, it's like a glitter shadow hybrid. And yeah, just gorgeous dark shades to go with each colour, and really dark here if you want to really deepen up. I did a 3 looks on palette with this during spooky season on my channel if you want to go check that out. I have done videos on every single one of these palettes, by the way, so just search one of the palettes on my channel and you'll find all the videos that I've done with this. But I did just do a 3 looks on palette with this because obviously it's old and it's discontinued, but I just wanted to use it because it's so me. Next we've got the first collab of the ranking, and this one is coming in at number 7. This is the Hella palette from Odin's Eye and Angelica Nyquist. This is the second collab she's done with a brand. Her first one was with Kaleidos. Do lean a little bit more towards that one palette wise, just overall as a look. It's kind of more my vibe, but this does make it into my top 10 and it's beautiful. The packaging, stunning. I love this whole kind of skeleton. It's supposed to be like life and death kind of vibe, and I love all of this pattern because I love spooky things, even though it's not really supposed to be spooky, but you know, skeletons are in the spooky family. And it's so bright, it's so Angelica, it's so green, which she loves and I love personally. And like limey green kind of shimmers and things like that. This gorgeous grungy purpley sort of vibe down here with these gorgeous like duochrome multichrome sort of shades here if you can catch them. Beautiful palette. The reason why it's not higher as a collab on one of my favorite YouTubers ever is because it maybe too green. I never thought I'd say that, but like it's a lot of green. I maybe would have taken one out, but I don't know what one I would take out, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just feel like it's very like green and pink and purple, where the Kaleidos one was a mix of a few different things. You had warm, you had cool, they were all kind of topper shades. A lot of these are full metallics, and I do love them, and I love the formula, love the theming, and I love the colour story. But just, I have other colour stories in my ranking that I prefer a little bit more. So that's why she's in at number 7. Next is the palette that I was talking about that I've only used once, and I used it right at the end of the year. You would have just seen it. But I had to put it here because I actually love it so much. And I know people might say it's not fair because you didn't do a 2 looks just yet. You haven't used it fully. But I love it. I can't help it. This is the Glaminatrix Silent Night palette. I love how the packaging is. It's very like a glamorous Christmas. Like, oh, we're doing fancy Christmas, not tacky Christmas. I love tacky Christmas, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look, tacky Christmas. We love it. But this is like glamorous Christmas. Like, we're just going to wear velvets and we're going to drink wine. Mulled wine. We're going to make our own mulled wine as well. Like, just little things like that. We're going to eat Ferrero Rocher. But I love it. I think it's so beautiful. The inside as well is so interesting. Now, I don't know what happened here. There was like something in my eyeshadow and I pulled it and it kind of cracked a few bits of the shadow, but ignore it. It's fine. She's fine. I'm not mad about it. It's absolutely fine. It's just such an interesting colour story, but still gives me winter Christmas vibes. The shade Bubbles, oh my god, magical. I use, in my look that I did with it, I used these 4 in the middle here, and this I think as well, or no, just these 4. I didn't use that one yet. Just these 4 here, and I did the most beautiful contrasting halo eye with this copper and then the navy. The only thing about this palette I would say is maybe there's nothing to kind of blend these two out, because they're so dark. The orange is not going to blend either of them out. It's too contrasting for that. It'll make it very muddy. This burgundy here, it will blend with that. Gorgeous, and you can wear it on its own as well. But I would just like maybe something cool toned, a greyy kind of shade, or like a wintry blue sort of light shade that will work with this as well. Something along the lines of that, just to help a little bit along. Other than that, I love the palette and I love Glaminatrix formula, as you know. One of my favourite brands, if not my favourite brand, but definitely one of my favourite brands, and I love this palette. So she's in at number 6. Next up is the other neutral palette I was talking about, and this is the Kaleidos Futurism 7, because it's done Roman numerals, I have to count upwards. Number 7, Sashimi City. I also have to say that very slowly because I end up saying a swear word every time. This is how she looks. Now this just looks like a neutral palette, but these shimmers are some of the most beautiful shimmers in my collection, and just the way this palette is perfect for me. You've got this beautiful kind of yellow ochre kind of side here with this sort of yellow ochre shade, and then this more yellowy toned brown to blend and deepen it up a little bit. And then this shimmer goes from like a peach to a gold to a slight bit of like a green, and even a little bit of pink as well in some lights, or even like a bit of blue. And then on this end here, you've got your more peachy warm shades. You've got your peachy warm here, a kind of warmer darker brown, and in this shade here, gingerling, something like that anyway, goes from a like a deeper kind of more tan beige to a pink, strong pink shift to a gold, and just gorgeous. I loved the looks I created with this palette. When I want to kind of grab a nice soft palette for those kind of looks, I usually grab this, and that's why it made it ahead of the Alva palette. They have a similar vibe, but I do prefer this, even though there's less shades in the palette. I still prefer it. In at number 4, bit of a surprise here, and a very, very, very special palette to me. This is my Glaminatrix Glamorous palette. She's beautiful. I love this style of palette from them as well. I think this is beautiful with the packaging. This is coming in at number 4 for reasons, but you'll see it in a while. This palette is very special to me because this is the first ever palette I got in Pure. I'm on Glaminatrix Pure list, which is insane. I'm not going to keep rambling on about it, but it is very special to me because I'm a small little YouTuber who never ever thought that would ever happen to. And it did. And I will always have, and I've loved Glaminatrix for a while. I've bought lots of their shadows and like made my own palette from them and everything like that. And I have the Silent Night and another palette in this collection that I bought myself way before this, but they sent this to me because of all the content I created for their palettes and how much I love them as well. So this is the Glamorous palette here. This is really nice, colourful, bit of grunge element to it as well, which is what I always love. This shade here is so beautiful, dreamy, gorgeous. This like goes from like a burgundy to a beautiful bright green. Like you can kind of see burgundy there now, and then I see burgundy here, but it's beautiful bright green. Gorgeous matte, nice and dark here as well. Again, lightest shades to be shimmers and darkest shades to be mattes. My only thing with this is I would make this, I said this in my first impressions and my 3 looks on palette, I love this shade, so I wouldn't change this, but I would make this shade a little bit lighter. Just a little bit lighter, so there's enough difference between these two. They are different, definitely different, but just enough that you can really make a difference with them. Other than that though, I love it. I love the formula, I love the shimmers, I love the mattes, I love it, can't help it, I love it. And now we're into the top 3. We have got a Give Me Glow Cosmetics palette. This is the Bad Witch Club Season Fall palette. It's a big palette now, she's big with big pans, but look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I did a first impressions with these 4 shades here. One of my favourite looks I've ever done in my whole entire life. I love the vibrancy of these colours, and it still does give a little bit of a fall spooky vibe to it, even though it's not typical fall colours or autumn colours. I would maybe change one of the purples out and make a shimmer kind of like this sort of shade here. That's the only real thing I would change, but other than that, I love this palette. I love the looks I created with this palette. I think they're beautiful. Give Me Glow's formula is stunning, and their shimmers are one of the best shimmer formulas in my whole collection. I love this palette so much, and that's why she made it into number 3. We've only got 2 left, which is exciting. Next is the second collab of my collection, and last year the first collab that this YouTuber and brand did made it to number 1, but it made it to number 2, got kicked back a little number, but still amazing because it's in my top 2 and it's number 2. This is the Baddie Bean and Shroud Cosmetics Hallow Bean palette. I love this. The excitement that comes out of me when a palette from those two are released is insane. My excitement for this was unreal, and the inside of the palette is exactly what I would want. The only thing I have with this palette, my minimal, it's the tiniest little thing, is that this is just a little bit hard to work with a lot of the colours in this palette, but pair the two palettes together, dreamy. I love this. Like, this is the multi-chrome here. It's stunning. When I'm looking at it from this direction, I can see green, but you're seeing purple, and then from here you might be seeing green, but maybe not, I don't know. This is also multi-chrome. This goes from like an orange copper to a gold to a green. These are duochromes. The mattes in here are beautiful. Shroud's formula is unreal. I really want them to start releasing a little bit more things throughout the year. I'd love another palette from them. Oh my god, their formula is just amazing. One of my favorite formulas in my whole collection. Such easy formula to work with, make so many beautiful looks with. I love this. Love it. And Baddie Bean is my favorite YouTuber ever. And then number 1, we're here. Have you guessed what it could be? You probably have, because I only used it in October. This is the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette, and this is a more matte feeling leather, sort of, well, faux leather, and inside here is your grungy dream. It's just a grungy dream. This is my favorite palette this year, 100%. I visualize this palette in little quads, so like this and this, and then like these, which I really want to do a look with, and then these I've already done a look with. I've done my first impressions and my 3 looks on palette using this palette for spooky season, so go back that far and you'll find it there. Just the level of grunge and just contrast and interesting color combos with this palette is unreal. This black down here is our darkest shade, and our lightest shade is a shimmer. Again, that's my little thing I love with palettes. This green is beautiful, kind of goes from like a purple to a green. This goes from like a purple copper to a blue, and this one goes from a gold into a purple. This is the most interesting shade though, because it looks like nothing. It looks like a bronzy gold, but it shifts green, pink, just all these different colors. You've got the murky mustards, you've got a lime green. It's just everything. I've no gripes with the palette at all. I cannot fault it in the slightest. Like, cannot. Love it. I have gotten so much use out of it, and I want to use it all the time. So that's why she's made it to number 1. Alrighty guys, so that's our ranking. Wow. I did that in 1 take, by the way. Just want to say, very proud of myself. 1 take. But that's our ranking. That is it. What do you think? What would your ranking be? What palettes have you used this year for the first time? How would you rank them? I am just very happy with my palettes this year. I'm very happy with my new additions to my collection. Very happy with my new favourites of my collection. Very happy I'm on a PR list as well. That's just very exciting for me. But I love my selection. I love my ranking. I'm very happy with how it ranked out as well. But yeah, I want to know yours down below in the comments. And if you have these palettes or had these palettes, like if you would wish to get them, what would your ranking be? You let me know that down below. What's your ranking of my ranking? So if you did like this video, give me a big thumbs up down below. It's the quickest, simplest and easiest way to give me a little bit of support, get me around to more people, and also let me know that you like the video, and I will continue to do many more. Also, don't forget to subscribe down below to see many more videos coming up, to see all the palettes we're going to be using next year, all the fun things, and what my ranking will be at the end of next year. I wonder what it's going to be, because I do have my palettes all done out of what ones I'm going to be using for next year. I just have to put them in order what way I want to use them. But it's going to be a very exciting year as well. And as I said in the beginning, my Instagram is linked down below, where you will be able to see all the pictures of looks I create in the future and anything fun and interesting I do on my Instagram stories. And I think that's everything for me, guys, so I will see you in the next video. Bye!